Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to have a discussion about the current state and commentary surrounding PvP. This will probably be the first of two videos because this is obviously a very large topic to cover, but today I really want to focus in on a specific and present issue that I see as obstructing PvP and the attempts to balance it. The other video will probably be a bit more big picture as to an underlying issue that I think has plagued this franchise's PvP for a long time, but like I said, that will be in another video coming very soon. Alright, so to begin, I just want to quickly address the current situation that's prompted my making of this video, and that's the ongoing debate on the Intimidate, Adrenaline Rush, and Lady Death build and meta. I don't really know how the structure inside Massive works, but Bruce Kelly is a ranking game designer who's been on State of the Game plenty of times, and he's been known to be one of the leading authorities on all things PvP and the DZ in the wake of Red Storm's departure. I mention him because the other day on Twitter, Bruce tweeted out a call to action for PvP players to leave their thoughts on this combo, and specifically whether they believe its current overuse is due to the combo itself being overpowered, or if PvP environments don't provide enough line of sight to take down these builds at range before they're right on you. Now, I left a pretty lengthy response of my thoughts on the topic, and what I said in that response is what I want to expand and elaborate upon for these two videos. Here's the most simple version of my thoughts. The Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush combo is unbalanced. Before people get mad, let me explain why. Note that I didn't say the combo is overpowered, because, like I said in my response on Twitter, the Intimidate Adrenaline combo is pretty much just responsive from Division 1. Sure, it takes 2 talents instead of 1 and is a bit more complicated, but in essence, it's gain extra damage when within 10 meters of a target. And to be clear, I'm not opposed to that type of buff. I miss those Division 1 talents, like Responsive, like Deadly, Vicious, Adept. But guess what? You can't just add one of those to Div 2 and not the rest, because Division 2 isn't built around having these more passive buffs, especially ones that grant you both extra survivability and 35% extra damage. Division 2's entire talent library is based around buffs they are granted for doing something, or for having a sacrifice or trade-off made. Obviously, something like Unbreakable isn't that, but I think it's pretty stupid they rolled Nomad into one talent anyway. But let's take some popular weapon talents, Strain and Optimist. Strain requires you to hold the trigger down throughout the duration of your magazine to gain the extra crit damage, while Optimist only gives you extra damage given you don't reload and you get lower and lower in your mag. Even something like Glass Cannon on your chest piece, which gives you less damage than Intimidate, just so we're clear, forces you to take 60% increased damage in return for that damage buff. Unstoppable Force and Bloodsucker on your backpack both require you to get kills to gain their benefit. And then you have Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush, and beyond just the fact that this combo is much easier to achieve and at much less of a cost than 95% of the rest of the talents in the game, I think the biggest reason as to why this is so broken is the fact that the game has no burst heals, which isn't Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush's fault, but still a truth you have to accept nonetheless. You cannot add a combo where you gain overheal in the form of bonus armor and 35% damage, actually 110% if you're using the Lady Death, when you rush someone and they have no form of burst healing to counter it. And the worst part, someone can run 6 blues, have 2 million armor, and still get this insane combo and melt you in half a mag. Which brings me to the primary topic of this video, what I believe to be the hidden curse of Gear 2.0, something that came with the sweeping changes of TU8 and the Gear 2.0 implementation that at the time we didn't really take note of, but I think now it's revealing its pretty big issues, and this is talent requirements, more specifically how we no longer have any. Now the specific issue of tank and armor builds and their unbalance is more the focus of the second video I want to do on this topic, but today I just want to focus on how the lack of talent requirements in the game is affecting us now with Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush, and how it has since TU8 and will continue to affect balance in this game so long as it stays true. It's honestly pretty self-explanatory. Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush are some of the most obvious talents to pair together in the game at the moment, not dissimilar from Berserk and Clutch from year 1. If you have one talent that so blatantly feeds into another's power, then why the hell set them up to work together? Intimidate requires you to have bonus armor and be within 10 meters of someone to get the damage boost. So what do the devs do? Introduce Adrenaline Rush, a talent that grants you stacking bonus armor for each enemy within 10 meters of you. I mean, Jesus Christ, is there a better definition of shooting yourself in the foot than that? I think Adrenaline Rush is the primary problem here. Before TU10, Intimidate certainly wasn't meta, and in fact it was in a pretty good spot, I thought. Probably its best synergy was with System Corruption, and even that combo, which seemed super potent on paper, wasn't overly used. But it was also a pretty nice option with Bloodsucker, which, like I mentioned earlier, requires you to get a kill to grant the bonus armor, at a lower value than Adrenaline Rush, I might add. It's kind of ridiculous. But I saw the builds before TU10 where people would use a good SMG or AR and have an up-close playstyle where they got chained kills to keep their bonus armor active, and they were able to take advantage of the Intimidate buff. That was good, that was balanced, because it took user user input to receive the damage buff and activate their build's potential. Now we have Adrenaline Rush, which just shits on Bloodsucker by giving you more bonus armor on an infinite refresh timer at the exact range of Intimidate. So what do I think needs to be done? I think the devs need to add a talent requirement for at least Adrenaline and Intimidate, but maybe a reimplementation for the rest of the game. We'll get to that in a minute. For this combo specifically, I think Intimidate needs to require 4 red core attributes and Adrenaline Rush 4 blue attributes. You guys might disagree, but I think that this is the path to balance that doesn't involve nerfing either talent. Adrenaline is a good talent that I see having really good use on a defensive and tank focused build paired with something like Unbreakable, but this isn't equitable to the rest of the setups in the game when it can pair with Intimidate like it can now. Additionally, I think they need to either buff Bloodsucker or nerf Adrenaline. Like I said, they don't necessarily need to nerf Adrenaline, but it's currently way stronger than Bloodsucker, so there has to be some sort of correction for that gap there. If they were to buff Bloodsucker, I'd say have it grant more bonus armor on kill to compete with Adrenaline, and if they were to nerf Adrenaline, I'd say have its refresh timer be 10 seconds instead of 5. That way it's not just an infinite stream of bonus armor that you don't even need to work for. And so, like I mentioned a minute ago, I want to lastly talk about talent requirements as a whole. I said it in the thumbnail, and I said it earlier in the video. I think their removal was the hidden curse of Gear 2.0, because the topic of this video, Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush, is the perfect example of that. Because if you think solving this one specific combo will set us up for indefinite success, you're wrong. It'll happen again, in some form or another, whether it's a new gear talent combo or a new weapon talent, something will come along that's too strong. And by nature, there's nothing wrong with having strong talents. That's what I'm sure many of us want, myself included. But this is literally the same issue that Exotics had in the Division 1. You can't introduce strong talents when they have no restrictions. I mean, clearly they can, they did it with Adrenaline Rush, but you see what kind of problems that leads to. Clearly, certain talents are meant for more broad usage, whereas some are clearly made to cater to certain build types, whether they can be damage, tank, or skill oriented. And those more focused ones are the ones that I think need core attribute requirements on them. Looking back on Division 1 Exotics like I was mentioning, the problem there was that many of the Exotics were very niche or underpowered compared to other high-end or gear set setups, because the devs knew they couldn't make them overly strong given there was no one exotic lockout. If you wanted, you could run 9 exotics, 6 gear pieces, and 3 weapons, and so if they were to make them all very good, then no one would ever run high-ends or gear sets again. That's exactly why they introduced the one exotic lock for Div 2, so that they could make these items very powerful and unique. And so while it may not seem like talents are necessarily underperforming at the moment, I'd say we currently range from a selection that are fine and some that are definitely a bit underpowered. Imagine what kind of buffs and benefits they could receive if they had talent requirements. Clutch could be a red focused talent and grant more healing than it currently does because the devs wouldn't have to worry about tank builds abusing it. Spark could be a more light investment yellow talent that grants more damage or other benefits than it does now because any build running it would have to run 2 to 3 skill tiers. Mad Bomber, which no one uses, could really get some nice team utility buffs and be a blue focused talent. You see where I'm going with this? To sum it up, I think talent requirements should be reintroduced to the gear climate in order to stop new talents from becoming overused with pre-existing ones, as well as for allowing some of the current talents to be buffed under the new assurance that certain build types wouldn't abuse them. I think it's a sensible system that we had for some 4 years from 2016 until this past March, and I think it's one that needs to come back and remain into the future of the game if a Division 3 is indeed coming. For as much balancing trouble as this franchise has always had, this is just something that's worked in the past to help mitigate those effects, and it can help us now and into the future to make sure it happens less. Ideally, not at all. Is that practical? Not really, but it's a step that the devs can take nonetheless. That's going to do it for today's discussion, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it and were at least able to see where I'm coming from with this, even if you disagree. If you have your own thoughts on the matter, then you'd like to share them, then definitely do so in the comments below. I'm always up to share and discuss different ideas for the game. It's why I'm here, so don't hesitate. I did want to mention before I sign off that you may have noticed I left the Lady Death notably absent from this discussion. I noted that a lot of people on Bruce's discussion thread labeled the gun as the primary culprit for the current meta strength, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm ignoring it. Rather, I actually just think it pertains more to the second video on this topic that I said I want to do, so I will 100% be addressing it there. And like I said, that video will be coming out very soon, so stay tuned. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. I know it's been a rough few weeks in the Division community, but we are officially in August now, and the devs did confirm that when they return this month from their summer break, we'd begin to hear what plans they have for the future of the game in the coming months, so at least we have something to look forward to. You can rest assured I will of course be covering any announcements they do make. That being said, have a great day everyone, stay safe out there, and until the next one guys, RogueGold out.